Hi guys, welcome to this presentation video of OxyProps. OxyProps is a WordPress plugin for Oxygen, and it brings to Oxygen the power of OpenProps, which is a collection of high-quality web design tokens under the form of CSS custom properties. You will see that OxyProps will soon become your best friend when you want to be up and running very fast on your website development process with Oxygen. In this video, let's see how to install and set up OxyProps to be ready in no time. And to start with, let's create a brand new local install of WordPress with Oxygen and OxyProps. I'm here in my terminal. Let's create the website. And here we are with a brand new Oxygen WordPress site. Let's go to the dashboard. And just before we start, let's have a look at the plugins. You can see that I have Oxygen 4 Release Candidate 1 installed. This is just to let you see that OxyProps is ready for Oxygen 4. And of course, we have OxyProps. So first thing, let's go and activate OxyProps. Let's enter the license key and activate. Okay, and here we are in OxyProps dashboard. In the dashboard, you will see mainly three areas. The first one is the builder features, where you can select which features you want to see in the builder. You can see that two of them are not selected by default. The first one, replace Oxygen global settings, is unchecked, and that's normal because when you activate it, OxyProps will replace every Oxygen global settings with OxyProps custom property values. So as you may install a plugin on an existing website, we don't want to overwrite your pre-existing settings unless you actively ask to do so. In my case, I'm on a brand new install, so I will activate it. The second one that's not activated by default is to include inside Oxygen Builder style sheets a custom color scheme style sheet. If you activate it, this will create a folder and a style sheet in Oxygen with a blueprint that allows you to completely customize your color schemes. Speaking of colors and color schemes are a very important part of OxyProps, and on this panel you can choose your main scheme colors. For the canvas color, you have the choice between 9 shades of gray. These are very desaturated, slightly colored gray color palettes that will be used for your backgrounds, your surface areas, and your text. Next, you can choose your brand, your links, and your visited links colors. And for each of them, you have the choice between 18 hues, each of them having 11 shades. So by default, the brand color is set to lime, the links color is set to cyan, and the visited color is set to teal. For a preview of what this looks like, you can go to the samples panel and you can see your brand gradient made of the 3 selected colors, the 3 colors for brand links and visited color, what a link looks like, what a visited link looks like, the 2 shades of text, and the 4 default surfaces. The buttons by default use the link color, and as I said, each color comes with 11 shades from 0 to 10, the medium one, the selected one, being number 5, the one you select here. And in addition to the 11 shades of solid color, you will discover that with OxyProps, you can use an unlimited number of transparencies thanks to a very handy specific HSL custom props coming from OpenProps. From your dashboard, you can select different color schemes, validate. Okay, Oxygen has detected changes in color and wants us to regenerate it. We will see that later, but here is the result of this new color scheme with denim as the canvas color, indigo as the brand color, violet as the links color, and grape as the visited link. This looks like a very monochrome color scheme, but with subtle variations in hue. And of course, you can choose to go for a more extreme one with, for example, orange, jade, and purple. And here we are. Okay, let's get rid of this Oxygen thing. One of the major features of OxyProps is that it supports out-of-the-box various color schemes, light mode, dark mode, low contrast modes, and even more color schemes if you want to. As my system is defined to dark mode by default, that's why we can see a dark dashboard. But if you want to see what your color scheme looks like, just choose a different one from your dashboard. And here is what it looks like in light mode. Of course, the dark mode, that's what we just saw. The low contrast mode. And then we have two other modes, which is a colorful, where every surface and text use the brand hue. And we also have a similar one, but in dark, where all surfaces and text use the dark brand hue, which is orange in our case. And you still have your links and visited color. Last panel in the dashboard is the utility style sheets one. By default, OxyProps has all of them selected, but it will be up to you. You can choose to load absolutely no utility style sheet. If you want to reduce page load to the strict minimum, you can choose to add the complete bundle. And for information, the complete bundle gzip represents a bit less than 60 kilobytes. Or, depending on what you need for your design, you can choose to load individual style sheet for using the corresponding utilities. Let's keep all of them for now. Save changes. Now let's jump into Oxygen and why not create a new page. There were discussions in the Oxygen user group a few days ago about this new loading animation. Some users telling that it was stressful. I like it. Tell me what you think in the comments. And here we are in Oxygen. And what you can see is that out of the box, we have a dark background. And this is because by default, the OxyProps normalize applies the color scheme and then applies the dark mode canvas colors to our page. So let's see what's inside Oxygen. And first, let's go to our global settings. And let's go to the editor settings. Nothing crazy, but by default, OxyProps modifies the class suggestions limit from 5 to 15. Let's go to global styles and first have a look at the colors. And you can see that in addition to the global colors default color set, you have two additional color sets. One for OxyProps logical colors, and it's pre-populated with the OxyProps custom properties. And we also have the full OxyProps color palette with all possible colors, with all shades. Let's continue and go to the fonts. This will be completely up to you, but the OxyProps Normalize uses OpenProps defaults, and we have 3 browser-safe font stacks using, here again, custom properties. And by default, we are using the sans serif font stack for text and for display. If you still want to use your custom Google fonts, they are still accessible and you can change to whatever you like. But if you want to stick to OxyProps default, I will highly suggest that you disable Google Fonts from your Oxygen settings. If we look at headings, everything has been preset with font size, font weights, line heights, and colors based on OxyProps presets that are completely opinionated. I agree with you, but the good news is that you can tweak anything. Same for body text. Your links with the links colors and the link hover color. The page width is set by default to 1440, but you can change it to whatever you want. And anyway, when needed, OxyProps will self-adapt to whatever value you enter as your page width. sections and column paddings are preset. And there's nothing special for animate on scroll and scripts. So with all these presets, if I create a section, all headings have a fluid font size. Let's duplicate it. This one will be a H2, H3, 4, 5, and 6. I'd like to see some spacing between my headings, and there is something very nice with Oxygen 4 is that you now have the gap property directly available here for the containers, in this case for the section. So if I want spacing between my text, I just come to this gap. Of course, I can enter a value and change the unit. But as I have OxyProps installed, I just have to right-click the value field, and OxyProps opens a context menu offering all possible properties for sizes. I won't go into the details, but let's say that I want a spacing that will be responsive, that adapts to the viewport width, and I want a size fluid too. And here we are, we have our spacing between our text, and you see that automatically when selecting size fluid 2, OxyProps did populate the value field and did change automatically the unit to none. That's much less typing. And now what if I want to change my section background color or the text color? Well, I have two color fields here, and there are several ways I can do it. If I click on a field, as usual, I can go to the color picker here, and I can access all the color sets that have been predefined by OxyProps. The first one is for the logical colors, the brand hover, the links hover, the links visited, text 1, text 2, and surface 1, 2, 3, 4, which are all the logical colors. Why are they called logical colors? It's because when you define brand color, for example, you just have to define it once, and it will then automatically adapt whatever color scheme you apply to your page or to your element. So if I assign, for example, the link color, and that later I go to my dashboard and change my link color from jade, if I remember well, to, I don't know, indigo, then this color set will adapt automatically. Where this one, the OxyProps color palette, if I come and that I set this one, which is violet 3, it will stay violet 3, whatever the color scheme. Moreover, if we look at this color palette here, and that I go to my system preferences and switch the color mode to light. As you can see, the system self-adapts. My background is now light, my text is dark, and the colors here still keep their use, but I've switched to the light mode versions of my brand hover, links hover, visited, etc. colors. Let's go back to dark. You see the system adapts, back to light, it adapts again. Okay, let's come back to my default dark mode for the system. So one way is to choose from Oxygen global color sets that are linked to OxyProps custom properties. Another way, which is also handy, is that you come to the color value field, text or background, you right click, and then OxyProps opens a context menu with all your available colors. So here again you have all the logical colors from your color theme you have selected in your dashboard, and for each of them you have access to all shades and transparencies. So let's imagine that I want my section background to be my surface 3. Here I am. Let's imagine that I want this heading color to be my brand color. Here I am. I want this one to be my link color with 60% opacity. Here I am. Okay, that's not really readable. So maybe we can change it. And as you can see, this uses this very handy HSL specific property inside of a HSL function. And if you want, you can adjust the level of transparency. Let's say that I want 70%. And my base color is not the 9th shade, but I want the fourth one, and this is more readable. Of course, my 6 levels of heading font size are predefined in the global settings, but if I want to change this specific size here, I can go to the font size, right click, and this time OxyProps shows me font size custom properties with the fluid ones and the fixed one. We have 4 levels of fluid font coming from OpenProps and 10 levels of fixed size. Maybe for some reason I want this heading to be font size 3. I select it and it is applied. And let's have a look at what else can be styled with OxyProps properties. So let's create another section, add a div, and let's add an icon, a heading, and a text. Create a small card. My text will be a H3. Let's add some lorem ipsum, a bit less. Here we are, and let's limit my div width to a content 2. These are specific size made for text readability that are defined as a number of characters using the ch unit. I want my card to have a gap of 2 for vertical spacing. I want it to have a padding of 4 that I will apply to all. I want a background, and let's say that I want a gradient. Let's choose, well, this gradient here. Let's add some noise. Let's add an image overlay like that. And what about borders? Okay, I don't know why, but I want this border with a width of border 3 and a radius of 3. Okay, so as you can see, I have styled completely my card with padding, borders, border colors, vertical spacing, directly with custom properties without typing any value. To finish, let's change the icon color. I want it to be my brand color, and I want my title to be text 1. Perfect. Just to finish this overview, you will see when utility classes become handy, because sometimes for some properties you don't have values in Oxygen panel. For example, I would like to add a box shadow to my card, but there is no value field where I can directly input a property for a box shadow. That's where utility classes come handy. So I will add a shadow 6, for example. And here we have a box shadow. And I would like to animate this icon. So I will add a bounce utility class. And I want to adapt the timing function. So I will add the elastic 4, if I can spell it. And here we are, very nice card. Let's save and have a look at the front end. And here we have a wonderful website with our card. And that brings this video to an end. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you now want to give OxyProps a try, and I'll see you in the next video.